What's up, guys? Cameron Fous here with FousAlerts.com. It is, I don't even know what day it is. It's March 6th, Thursday. What an epic day again. Epic week. I'm already up about 25 grand in profits here this week in just the first 4 days. So it's been pretty unreal. I just had my biggest trading gain for a single day yesterday. I made 15 grand, and we're up another nearly 5 grand today. So, and it's only Thursday. There's still tomorrow, and I still have several stock picks that I think could absolutely explode into tomorrow or even next week. So I don't think the profits are done yet. I've basically been up every week, every day of this week. I made about $2,500 Monday, about $2,500 Tuesday, $15,000 yesterday, and about $5,000 today. Still got tomorrow, still more money to be made, so we'll see what happens here. But just want to talk about those trades. First up, ROX. This thing has been a bit of a roller coaster ride. In the past, we did try to buy into this force pattern, actually gold force pattern, basically, since it's breaking out of the dollar level. But this would also be considered a force pattern if it wasn't sitting here at $1 per share. But remember last time, or for those of you who were with me previously, when we tried to trade this, the first time this broke out above $1 here, this was a great looking potential gold pattern here as we were consolidating from this triangle right above below $1 per share. I loaded up about 40,000 shares here, and we ripped it. And next thing I know, I was up 8 grand on this position right here. So at that point, I was like, hell yeah, we're killing it. This thing could definitely, potentially run up to $2 per share, because that's, what happens on these gold patterns. A lot of times when they break one, they sometimes just, the momentum doesn't stop up all the way up to $2 per share or higher. Unfortunately, we had some bad news come out. This thing just absolutely crashed. I lost all that money plus then some. I think I sold it for about a $1,500 loss. But, insiders continued to buy as we moved forward here, and we actually tried to trade it earlier this week. And I sold it for a small loss, and then we just absolutely ripped it again yesterday. Yesterday we bought it at 90 cents, and it just absolutely killed this thing. Came up again today. Like I said, I was looking for that to break over 110 highs, and that would definitely signify a big move going forward. So I actually sold 20,000 shares of this. I was 30,000 shares long. I got a little nervous twice here today when we had these big sell-offs intraday. I sold once at 118 and then another time at 115, 10,000 shares each. So would have been awesome to continue to hold those shares, because we're up at highs here at 134. I'd be up a lot more than I am now. But I did add another 5,000 shares into the close here at 131 because we broke out of an F3. We had a nice looking consolidation pattern here at 133. I wish I would have gone in here at 124. This was a perfect F2 formation breakout here that triggered right there at 124. Unfortunately, I was just during that 5-10 minutes when that happened, I was away from the computer and I missed it. But I did like this actual consolidation into the close here at 131. There's still a lot of momentum here on ROX. It could continue to keep going all the way up to $2 per share. It's going to be volatile. It's very difficult to hold these stocks from 1 all the way up to 2. When I see that I have a $10,000 profit on the stock, it's like, oh, shit, I don't want to give it back. Because last time I was up $8,000. Next thing you knew, I sold it for a $1,500 loss. So stocks are risky. If you're not taking partial profits on the way up like I did today, it's tough. You don't know what any of these stocks are going to do. So I always try to be taking in at least partial gains along the way up, just to play it safe. You don't know what it's going to do. You might have just sold it at the top, and next thing you know, this stock's down at 80 cents tomorrow. You don't know. So it's always safe to at least be locking in partial gains. The next stock we're going to look at is THM. I made about 8 grand on this stock. This was another bit of a roller coaster ride. I literally was seconds away from selling this for a $2,000 loss. Yesterday or 2 days ago, we opened up. The market was a major gap down in the market. This thing dropped instantly out of the gates in the morning. Had some panic sellers come in, but we had an awesome red to green move, and this thing just blew up. I actually loaded up more shares right before this ripped all the way up to $1 per share. I sold some right up at $1, and then I sold the rest of my shares today, locking in $8,000 on THM. So an awesome trade. This could not be over. It came up and hit that resistance level at 1, but we could definitely see a flag formation here form up and a secondary rip over 1. So I'm definitely looking for round 2 on THM, but it was a perfect revival pattern. A revival pattern, as always, is that lead-in trend is bearish, where we start to base out here, and then we can form up a triangle pattern or a three-phase breakout triangle, and we hit that trigger perfectly right around 75, 76 cents. This ripped all the way up to my initial target, which was $1 per share. So right now, it's actually hitting the midpoint support. As I teach in the Fous 4 DVDs, it's actually a pretty good support area to buy. I said that when we were up at about 95 cents, I was like, God, I think I'm going to sell here because this could easily drop back to the midpoint support around 85 cents. And that's exactly where it bottomed out at, was exactly at 85 cents. So, I'm still watching THM for round 2, but as of right now, I am out. GSS was the same exact kind of pattern that we had been watching or trading. I initially bought in here at 76 cents, stopped out, bought back in, I think at 77 cents, and then I eventually sold today. I was up about 2,500 bucks on it on near the highs of the day, so I didn't have a huge gain, but still good gain. And I didn't want to see it go back, because this stock always screws with me. It's a very volatile stock. It just doesn't trade very well, but it actually did get a nice little spike into the close, back up to 85 cents. But I did stop out on GSS. I locked in about $1,700 profit, but this still could go. It's still holding above that breakout level at 86 cents. It did right into the close. This thing dropped over to 82 cents and then had one little buyer come in here and spike it all the way back up to 85. So it's a volatile stock. Volume is a little bit shy on it. So I got a little sketched out, and I didn't want to give back these gains. I was up $5 again today. Continue to kill it, and I didn't want to ruin the trade. I'm not trying to get overzealous here to the point where I just start making some stupid trades and being a little bit too much irrational. But the chart is still definitely in play. Same as that thing. It's a revival pattern. The lead-in trend is bearish, and we got this kind of consolidation forming up where we have a clear buy area right at 86. So right now this stock looks beautiful, actually. Now that it closed at 86 cents, because right when I was selling it minutes before the close, it was down at 82, looking like a complete false breakout. So we'll see what happens on GSS. I could potentially rebuy this stock into tomorrow. IVAN was one that I actually sold this morning. I stopped out as it started to sell off hard this morning, and then we got right back in here when we went red to green at about 66, 67 cents, and then we just blew up here into the close, almost 10 cents there. So I got 20,000 shares of IVAN at 66 cents. I'm currently up about 1,500 bucks on this trade. We're looking good into tomorrow. So definitely a lot of potential on IVAN to potentially go back up towards $1 per share. Just like all these other stocks that are breaking out at about 70 to 80 cents. First initial profit target is going to be $1 per share. Next up was IDN. This is another one that's been on the watch list for about 2 weeks now, and we finally got the dollar roll here. This was a pretty sketch stock. Again, we did have that one move today where it looked like we were breaking out. I actually added 5,000 shares at 104, 105, looking like we're going to break this F2, and it looked like we were triggering. Oh, there it goes. Nope, just failed to break that high day and actually came all the way back down, but never broke below $1 per share. So that's definitely a bullish sign. And this is the same exact pattern. We have that lead-in trend as revival, and we had been peaking out around $1 per share for over a year now. So this is a very, very bullish Fous 4 gold pattern. This is the same kind of pattern that can make a run up towards $2 per share. I have, what do I have? How many shares? I got 30,000 shares. So I'm pretty confident in these plays. When these gold patterns and dollar rolls are firing, there is a crap load of money to be making off of these. I made, about 10 grand on ROX, almost 10 grand on THM. I would love to make almost 10 grand or more on IDN, but it's got to hold over this dollar area, more so about the 94 cent area on IDN. Hopefully we can just get a carefree rip, but with these stocks, sometimes there are always that just crazy volatility that can easily stop you out before the stock actually makes its final run. Another one was KUTV. This one I tried to trade in yesterday. I sold this morning for a small loss, about 370 bucks. I got back in on the red to green move. A red to green move is when the stock goes below into the red negative territory for the day, and then crosses back above that green or this yellow line indicated here on TC 2000. But that's pushing the stock back into the green. A lot of times it kind of indicates a fake out when it drops down into the red. Once it fires past that green line of going back into the green, that's typically a strong buy signal. So I love red to green moves. And this is also in a forced pattern breakout that's breaking out all-time highs, or not all-time highs, it's an all-time close on the stock. We did have that spike up towards $4 per share, so that could act as resistance. There's still not much momentum here. It did close that high a day, so that's good, but we'll see how it goes. Tomorrow's Friday. Typically people are, have tendencies to sell on Friday, so tomorrow could get interesting. I'd love to not give back a bunch of gains, but we'll see how it goes. It could get a little risque into tomorrow. What else do we got? What else do we trade? We trade PAL, P-A-L. This was earlier this week. This was another little mini revival pattern. We got long here at about 41 cents and sold it up in the high 40s and actually triggered or hit my profit target of about 55 or so, which was the 50-day moving average. But this was the same exact pattern that we've been playing all week, is the revival pattern. Because if you look at the Dow, we did have that big sell-off, and so we did see a lot of stocks sell off here and then rebound. So I love revival patterns when the market is hot. And PAL, we ripped it for about $2,500 gain, getting in at 41, and I sold up near $50 per share. But it's the same exact pattern. Lead-in trend is bearish. Then you get that base formed up where you can actually draw a physical line here. That was a clear buy at about 39 cents. I got in slightly late at 41 cents. Scalped it for about 9 cents. I can't remember how many shares I have, but it turned out to be about a $2,500 profit. But we'll see how PAL shapes up. We'll still continue to watch this as a potential trade going forward. PHOT, this thing was a bastard child of a stock today. We did hit this this morning right here. Where did we get it? This was a perfect F1 pattern that would have been the buy. This stock was on the watch list a little bit ago. I don't know if I removed it or if it's still on there. I can't remember. There's so many damn stocks to watch right now. But look at this F1 here. Perfect on this intraday 1-minute chart. Got a gap open, consolidated, followed by some spiked highs. Once that broke over highs, it's basically rode the 1-minute intraday 13 EMA all the way up to 41 cents before breaking down and kind of consolidating. And I actually bought back in, or for the first time right here at 40.03 was my buy there. Should have got in here. I should have been watching it, but unfortunately there's just so many stocks to watch. I'm not catching everything, which is also why I highly encourage all you guys to be using that radar. If you see a pattern that fits something that you think I would maybe like, or somebody else that if it fits the Fous 4 criteria, bring that to the table. For the first 2 hours, I'm barely even looking at the chat room. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about in there most of the time because I'm looking at so many different stocks. I'm talking at the same time. The only time I'm looking in the chat room basically is when I'm firing off a radar or a buy alert. So if you guys are doing a radar on a stock like this on PHOT, I'm actually going to go look in the chat room and see what you're talking about to see if it's potentially a stock that I want to buy too. In addition, for if anybody else wants to buy it. So it's a team effort that I'm trying to build here. It's not just me. I'm trying to train you guys to know exactly what I know so that we can all collaborate together and find these stocks to trade. Because I missed PHOT. I would have bought it here at 39 cents, even though it actually did not have that great of a day. If you look here, this chart's all screwed up. We'll look at this one. But a very volatile day. You can see that broke that F1 here. This is the 5-minute chart and came all the way back down. It is up to 42 cents after hours, up 7%. So I'm still long PHOT. I'm actually down about $1,000 at the moment on it. So I was up, $1,500 on this position at one point. And now I'm down $1,000. So with these little penny stocks, I freaking hate trading these things. They're not very safe. But these weed stocks, they still got momentum going for them. And PHOT is on the daily chart in a very, very bullish force pattern here. This has been spiking up and continually testing this level here. This is going to break out all-time highs if we rip over this area, which could, easily send it for 100% gain. But it's got to trigger over that level and actually sustain it. Today, it didn't hold up over that level. It can continue to sell off into the close. So we'll see, how that happens into tomorrow. But anyways, it's been a killer week. I've made $5,000, or not $5,000. I made $5,000 today, but I've made it $25,000 this week, which is could be my best single week ever. Mainly to contributed ROX. I made over about $10,000. THM, I'm up $8,000 on. Several other plays that we rolled for a couple grand, and we got more stocks to come. But anyways, that's it for today. Let's make a killing tomorrow and continue this run.